Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the 2026 clinical briefing on diabetes. We're going to unpack the latest science, what causes it, the damage it does, and honestly, the incredible future of how we're going to treat it. Okay, so here's the game plan. We'll start with how the system fails in the first place, then look at some new bad guys on the scene. We'll take a tour of the damage, jump into the great diet debate, and then, the really cool stuff, future treatments and what remission even means now. First up, let's talk about a systemic failure. And we've got to get this right from the get-go. See, diabetes isn't just one thing. It's actually two completely different stories about how our body's energy management systems can break down. So, is diabetes just a disease of sugar? I mean, that's what we usually hear, right? But the reality, as we see it in 2026, is so much more complex. And honestly, it's way more fascinating than just being about what's on your plate. And here's the key difference, right? It's this stark contrast. With type 1, you've got an autoimmune attack. Your own body's defense system goes rogue and just wipes out your insulin-producing cells. But type 2? That's more of a burnout story. Think of it as pancreatic exhaustion. The cells get so overworked for so long, they just give up. They regress into a state where they can't do their job anymore. So it's really the difference between a hostile takeover and a system that's just collapsing from being pushed too hard for too long. Okay, so with that understanding, let's get into the new stuff. Science has now pinpointed two major new players that are really driving this whole failure. And these discoveries, they're totally changing how we think about this disease. The first new culprit? Well, it's hiding in our gut. We're now realizing that our gut microbiome is like this virtual organ. And when the balance of bacteria gets all out of whack, they call it dysbiosis, the gut lining can get compromised. This creates what's known as a leaky gut. And it basically becomes a source of chronic, low-grade inflammation that spreads throughout your entire body. This is just a perfect example of how a small, local fire can turn into a full-blown forest fire, right? The imbalance in your gut basically punches holes in the intestinal wall. And once that barrier is down, nasty stuff like bacterial toxins, there's one called LPS, can just leak right into your bloodstream. Your immune system sees this, and it goes on constant low-level red alert. All right, that's culprit number one. Now for number two. This one isn't about bacteria or your gut. Nope. This one is written into our very own DNA, and it impacts a pretty specific chunk of the population. Okay, this is absolutely fascinating, and it has massive implications for treatment. It turns out that about 10% of people have a specific gene variant that makes them resistant to some of our most powerful drugs, the GLP-1s. You know the ones, Ozempic, Wegovy. This means that for 1 out of every 10 people, these blockbuster drugs just don't really work. A huge discovery. So when the system starts failing, whether it's from that autoimmune attack or just pure exhaustion, you get chronic high blood sugar. And you can think of that excess sugar as a corrosive agent. It's like pouring a mild acid through your body's pipes, just slowly and systematically breaking down all of your most critical infrastructure. So let's take a little tour of the damage, shall we? We're going to look at the 4 main zones where this corrosive effect really hits the hardest: the plumbing, the filter, the sensors, and the wiring. First up, the plumbing. All that extra glucose makes your blood thick and syrupy. And this sludgy fluid scrapes along the inside of your blood vessels, damaging them. What does that do? It speeds up the hardening of your arteries and literally doubles your risk of having a heart attack or a stroke. Okay, next stop, the filter, your kidneys. That same toxic, high-sugar environment starts to scar all the tiny, delicate filtering units inside. Over time, they just get clogged up and fail. And that's what leads to kidney disease. Then you've got the sensors, your eyes. The body, trying to protect itself, converts excess glucose into something called sorbitol. It sounds like a good idea, but it backfires big time. Sorbitol is like a sponge. It soaks up water and traps it inside your retinal cells. They swell up like water balloons until they burst and die. And that's what causes vision loss. And finally, the wiring. Think of your nerves like electrical wires with plastic insulation. While high blood sugar literally strips that insulation, it's called myelin, right off. This messes up all the signals, especially in your hands and feet, and can cause anything from excruciating pain to just total numbness. So when you're facing that kind of systemic breakdown, it's no wonder people are looking for a quick fix, right? Many turn to pretty extreme diets, But what the 2026 data is telling us is that these shortcuts, they come with some really significant and often hidden costs. The two big ones you hear about are OMAD, 1 meal a day, where the goal is to just give that pancreas a super long rest, and the keto diet, which tries to solve the problem by just eliminating glucose from the diet altogether. And this chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? It shows the logic and the major risks for not just diets, but for the new tech too. So you see, something like keto gets rid of the glucose, but you risk things like muscle loss. On the flip side, a super advanced AI system takes human error out of the equation. But what if the device fails? The takeaway here is so important. There's no magic bullet. Every single approach has its own set of trade-offs. And we really have to underline this. The hidden costs of these extreme diets can be huge. I mean, nutritionally, just try getting all your vitamins and minerals in one meal. It's almost impossible. Psychologically, the pressure can be immense, leading to eating disorders and just burnout. And metabolically, if you're taking insulin, this stuff can be flat out dangerous, risking a severe, potentially fatal low blood sugar. But okay, let's shift gears to the really exciting stuff. The technological counterattack. The future isn't about restriction, it's about solving these problems with some truly breathtaking innovation. Just look at what's coming down the pipeline. First, you've got smart insulin. Imagine a single daily shot that sits there and only releases insulin when your blood sugar actually goes up. Amazing. Then there's AID@Net, a fully automated AI system. Zero patient interaction needed, it just handles it. And then the one that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, a one-time gene therapy shot that reprograms your leg muscles to become a kind of surrogate pancreas. I mean, wow. So with all these incredible new tools coming, the whole idea of what success even looks like is changing. We're not just talking about managing diabetes anymore. The new goal, the new benchmark for 2026 is remission. And this is the new official definition, the clinical standard. To be in remission from type 2 diabetes means you keep your HbA1c, that's your 3-month blood sugar average, below 6.5%. And here's the kicker. You do it for at least 3 months, with zero medication. See, this is a huge shift. It's not just about controlling the disease anymore. It's about getting to a place where your body can actually handle things on its own again. Which leaves us with this one last really big question to think about. As we get so much better at putting diabetes into remission, are we actually curing it? Or are we just creating a brand new, complex health state? One that still has to be managed and monitored for the rest of your life. Something to think about, for sure. The final chapter on that hasn't been written yet,